Fantastic. So here we are. It is April 21st, Wednesday. We are on the Enriching Gifts education call. We have our weekly host here, Mr. Ron Schneider, who is Mr. Everything when it comes to enriching gifts and its product and its whole brand that's out there. And so we're very fortunate to have Ron on the call each and every week. He just brings a lot of phenomenal information, and it's really not hard. I love how, Ron, you can get really technical, but you can also break it down to a very elementary level so that those of us like myself that maybe aren't as technical can still catch the message and get a lot out of this. So I want to welcome you to the call, Ron, and just say thank you for everything that you're doing. And then I have a kind of a request, if you will, in terms of maybe what we can cover on tonight's call. So welcome to the call, Ron. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And let me correct you. Today is April 22nd. It's my brother's birthday. That's why I remembered.
And I did say the 21st, didn't I? Yes, it is April 22nd. And I guess I'm living in the past. I got to catch up and live in the present. My apologies. Welcome.
Right. Yeah, well, I want to take everybody back tonight, kind of get back to the basics. This news constant barrage of information on television is just driving me nuts. And there's so much misinformation that's being given by these so-called educated experts. Dr. Sapphire, which is a Fox News correspondent, she made a huge blunder yesterday, in fact. She said that in order to strengthen your immune system, exercise benefits you because when the muscles are active and stressed, it releases a hormone called cellular superoxide dismutase. Well, anybody that knows anything about anything knows that anything that ends in ASE has nothing to do with hormones. It's an enzyme. It's an antioxidant enzyme specifically. So you can't even believe some of the stuff that's coming out of these people's mouths. They're just so distracted sideways. I mean, she's not stupid. I respect her as a doctor, but when you start just on national television, start spewing total misquotes, one had nothing to do with the other one, we're all in trouble. So that's why I want to bring this to everybody. And that's why, honestly, I've decided to go along with this social media format because I don't like it. Never have liked it. I don't like computers. Dover knows this. But it's one way that I'm able to get a message out there that needs to be heard, not only by people in America, but by the world. And it really has nothing to do with COVID-19. It's all about how to build a perfect life for yourself, a great quality body that you can live a great quality life through from birth to death. And nobody's talking about that. Everybody wants you to buy into all this hysteria. Oh, we're going to have to deal with this. It's going to be so much worse this next fall in 2020, the spring of 2021. They don't know that. And the only people that are going to be affected by that are people that would have been affected by the flu and influenza anyway. Because like I say, statistically, there's tens of millions of people that get influenza every year in America. Tens of millions. Yes, you heard it correct. It's not a couple 100,000 like we have these worldwide cases of coronavirus right now. And it just passed the 40,000, I think it's 43,000 today, the deaths associated with coronavirus. And I just want to really clear that up because there's a great video that we did featured last week by the doctor over in Kalispell, Montana. And she really rips through the CDC, Institutes of Health, World Health Organization, on and on and on and on about how flawed their statistical data keeping actually is. And I'm 100% in agreement with her. It's crazy. Well, I see we jumped from 43 to 47,000 deaths is the current today. So, but I just always want to keep people in mind, we had just a couple years ago, 81,000 deaths just from influenza. So we're at half of that yet with the coronavirus. And these statistics, the way they're being thrown in there, the majority, over 85% is my best estimated guess, don't even die from the coronavirus. They all have underlying health problems that they could easily die from, such as diabetes, heart disease, cardiovascular disease, cancers. What's some of the other ones? There's some really bad autoimmune disorders as well. And these people are dying from these. Oh, but because they have the virus antibodies, well, we'll just lump them all in the coronavirus deaths category. And it's not nearly as bad as what everybody's making it out to be. And that's just driving me nuts. So that's why I'm happy to do these calls each week, and especially, I don't know whether it's a good thing or bad thing to have me on video, because I'll tell you, I can get pretty daggone nasty with my language sometimes, because I am very passionate about things, and especially when it comes to this kind of crap. And it is crap. I mean, it's one thing to get news, and it's quite another thing to get a whole propaganda story created and the media backs behind it telling it the fake news. And God bless Trump for his exposure of the fake news, because it's fake news everywhere right now. So I don't want to get hung up with that too much. What I want to do today is get back to the fundamental basics, to where everybody that's listening to this call or watching this video can actually get back to having the ability to live a life with confidence and quality without having to buy into any part of this hysteria crap that's being spewed all over national television or even on social media for that matter. And I definitely don't keep up with that part of it at all, the social media. That's a whole nother animal, and I just soon stay out of that as much as I can. So what I want to talk about a little bit, unless you want to preface something for tonight.
No, I think you're spot on, and you're right. You know, we've been inundated with, and I'll just, for lack of a better word right now, just fear-based information, media, news. Everything is, you know, just doom and gloom. Although we're seeing some results and some of this curve they say is going down, but you turn on the TV and it's all about what we all know what it's all about, right? The corona and the deaths and what's happening there. So I would say, you know, and we've gotten away from what you've done for so long on these calls in terms of educating us on various topics. But I would say, you know, how do we take back control of our own health? I think that would be a good focal point so that we can be empowered to be in control of our own lives and our own health. And I think that's a very, very important message, one that I know you've delivered many times, and I would love to hear it again.
Yeah, because I'm glad you used the words and preface the whole conversation. Take back control and the destiny of your own life and health. That's what this really needs to be about. Quit listening to TV and all these so-called experts that really aren't that expert when you really listen to the details of what they're saying. Just like I said, that Dr. Sapphire, that was a huge screw up on national TV. I mean, it's like, really? And I'm as an educated person and supposed to listen to people like you that just flip that stuff off there and don't even try to correct yourself. Something wrong with that, really, really wrong with that. And that's our national news. So one of the things I want to go back to, because this reminds me of a 2-hour phone call I had just today with a lady out of Austin, Texas, freaking out. She's 67. I'm going to be 65 this year. So I'm one of those at-risk people for developing this horrific coronavirus disease and death. And I'm not afraid of it at all. I don't even think twice about it. The only reason I even think about it is because it just dominates every single channel on news. Can't even watch a movie anymore without the coronavirus pandemic banner across everything. So let's just get back to the basics. The fundamental basics are, one, your body functions from nutrition. And I just got done having this conversation with a gal this morning because she's spending this tremendous amount of money on organic foods and vegetables. And she's 67 years old. And she says, I'm not getting any better. Do you have any idea why not? And I said, well, how long have you been doing this? She says, well, at least 13, 14 years. And she's got this really bad colitis with a complicating other disease to where she just has diarrhea all the time. She hasn't had a solid bowel movement in at least 8, 9 years. And I sit there and she said she weighs 99 pounds. And I said, well, how tall are you? She's 5'7". That is a severely malnourished body. And then we got into the conversation and she was telling me how she had part of her GI tract removed. So things like that. And it's like, I just feel so bad for people because they're just not getting the education that they need. Everybody's telling them, take this, take that. Well, first thing I want to make very clear to everybody, nutrition does not prevent, treat, or cure disease or illness. It does not. Nutrition merely activates the cellular body and gives it the ability to function. That's all nutrition does. So quit making claims about how take this product and you get rid of your cancer, take this product and you'll prevent your heart attacks and your strokes, and take this product and you'll get rid of your gout and da-da-da-da-da. That's not the way this works. And that's why I like this format. It is an educational format, first and foremost, for everybody. And so I want to go back to the fundamental basics, getting back to that organic, expensive diet of that lady I talked to this morning for a couple hours. You know, your organic foods and all these expensive nutritional supplements can actually become toxicity in your body. And here I want everybody on this call to think about this for just a second. You know, I did some statistical backtracking here just about, probably 4 or 5 years ago. And I was able to go all the way back to 1968. And it really started by 1972. So you think about that, 1970 to where we're at today. That's 50 years ago. 50. For the past 50 years plus, at least 67% of the United States population has been taking a dietary supplement each and every single day. 50 years. And why does anybody take supplements? Most people believe it's going to treat their symptoms, it's going to cure their body, get rid of their pain, get rid of their illness, and it's a cure-all. And it's going to prevent everything. That's not what it does, because if it really had the capacity to do this, just statistically over the last 50 years, we are failing so miserably, it's not even funny. We are the #1 sickest planet or sickest country on the entire planet Earth by population and disease statistics. United States of America has more disease and illness per individual person and per capita as a country than any other country in the world. And yet we spend more than 2.5 times more dollars every single year annually on our healthcare budget, our healthcare program. 2.5 times more. The next closest country is Japan. But we spend 2.5 times more dollars treating disease and illness, and we treat disease and illness. We're not proactive whatsoever, which is where we need to move ourselves to, not only for people on this call, but as a nation, and be proactive with your health, not reactive to degeneration and decline of health. And so you sit there and you think about this, 50 years, we're more than 2.5 times sicker than any other nation. We're at least twice as sick. We spend 2.5 times more money than any other nation in the world. And yet here we have the highest incidence of disease and illness. What's happening? What went wrong? 67% plus of the United States adult population for the past 50 years have been using a dietary supplement or protein powder or organic access to protein powders, organic foods. It's not working, folks, and there's one reason why it doesn't work, the most significant and important reason it doesn't work, and nobody's saying a damn thing about it other than myself. All these social media experts, I just watched The Doctors with Travis Stork and them guys today. And they were talking to a celebrity about the diet and the importance of the diet. And not one single time did I hear anybody talk about enzymes, digestive enzymes specifically. That is what's lacking in the world's population today that's killing the world. You can have the most pristine, organic, non-GMO, freshest, the best. You can live from that diet. And guess what? You're going to still end up dying of a disease and illness from that diet. Because as you age, and for people that don't know this, write this down. For every single decade you live your life, once you're born, every 10 years you live your life, your body produces less, 8 to 10% less digestive enzymes than it did the previous decade. So by the time the average person that dies is 75 to 78 years old, by the time you hit 38 to 42 years old, your body produces 50% less enzymes for your digestion of your meals, or more, meaning less, 50, 60, 70% less enzymes. And when you ingest food into your body, I don't care whether it's clean, whether it's GMO, non-GMO, organic, it doesn't matter. When that food gets into your system and it's in your system too long because you don't have the ability to digest it within a specific 8 to 10 hour time frame, it will oxidize. And through oxidation, which is the hardening process of any substance in the internal body, it will accumulate and build up in your muscles, your joints, your tissues, your arteries, your brain cells, even fat cells. All this stuff accumulates, even from an organic, expensive diet, even from all these dietary supplements that are outrageously expensive. So what's the problem? That's what everybody is doing, and yet statistics bear out we're not making any headway at all. And then you hit something like the coronavirus, which I say big stinking deal. It's no big deal to me. Bring it on. I got a Hercules immune system. I am never, ever, 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 ever sick. And with the exception of the burns and the nerve damage I got last July on the bottom of my feet, I have extraordinary health. I never get sick. Last time I was sick was April 23rd, 1984. Got medical records to prove it. So I want people to understand, let's quit talking about this gloom and doom stuff that we're all enrolled into on national television. I want to give you some tools that you can actually dramatically improve your quality of life. And you don't have to sit at home wondering and living in fear, walking out your front door because there's something called coronavirus someplace. Big deal. I wouldn't think twice about walking out my front door. I wouldn't think twice about walking up, giving somebody a hug and shaking hands with somebody that literally just went into the hospital with coronavirus. My immune system is that strong. It's bulletproof. And anybody can do this for themselves. But you have to have the understanding, first of all, and be honest with yourself and as well as everybody around you, what the immune system is capable of doing and what disease and illness is not capable of doing. What supplements are not capable of doing, what your daily diets are not capable of doing. But it all comes down to the first thing, whenever you're talking about nutrition, there has to be a digestive component. I don't care whether it's even a liquid. This gal I was talking to today talked so highly about a liquid diet and liquid B12 complex. And I said, I went through at least 6 different companies with my microscope. All these distributors, most of them, in fact, all of them were network marketing companies, but one. And they all had liquid diets, vitamins, liquid B12, folic acid, liquid vitamin C, liquid that, liquid this. And that little microscope that I have where I analyze blood, that's my integrity machine. You can have a belief system, everybody's entitled one, and everybody usually has a different one. And that's your BS system. And most people call it a belief system. Well, your belief system can be nothing but BS as well, if you're not really educated and understand. So one of the things I want to just straighten out right from the get-go, there's nothing, no kind of nutrition, I don't care, organic or otherwise, it's going to benefit the human body unless it's fully and completely digested once it's consumed. Because if you're over 30, 35 years old and you've got poor genetic inherited factors where you got poor digestion capabilities anyway, it's really easy to identify that because you're constipated all the time. You only have one bowel movement every 2-3 days. And then it's big and it's thick and it's really hard to eliminate. Well, guess what? You got a genetic inherited factor called very poor digestion, where your body just doesn't produce a significant amount of enzymes to begin with. And then you have further genetics that are linked to that severely compromise the digestive process, such as like all these people that have celiac sprue disease, which is gluten intolerance. All the people around the world that are lactose intolerant, meaning they don't tolerate dairy products very well. Well, I got news for you. Every single food allergy that you have a reaction to, your body doesn't produce a specific enzyme. Lactose intolerance is missing an enzyme, lactase enzymes. Invertase enzyme is the enzyme that people are gluten intolerant lack. All food allergies are nothing more than your body lacks a specific enzyme to interact and digest that particular protein you're consuming. So if you put back in the enzyme that your body lacks, like we did in the plant enzymes formula, guess what? Now you can start eating gluten in 2-3 months after you've been on this product and you detoxify yourself. And you're not going to have those inflammatory reactions because there's high amounts of invertase enzymes in our plant enzyme product. You're not going to have the lactose, dairy intolerance reactions, the gas, the bloating, the stomach aches, the headaches, because the lactase enzymes is another enzyme very high in our formula. So you're putting back in your bodies, what your body is losing the ability to do and maintain for itself in the way of specific enzymes for the digestive process. And if you're one of those unlucky people where you have genetic weaknesses, then you've already got a way to compensate for what your body lacks the ability to do for itself in the first place. It's not just low, it doesn't have any at all. My wife is one of those people. Japanese, Asians, Filipinos, Chinese, they're very, very common lactose intolerant societies and cultures. And my wife can literally sit down. I don't know if she's not around, I don't think, so I can say this without getting beat up. But she can literally sit down and eat a half a gallon of Breyer's ice cream. In one single setting, I've seen her do it. She loves Breyer's ice cream. But I literally seen one single tablespoon of ice cream when she doesn't take her enzymes and probiotics. She just doubles over. Within 15 minutes, she's laying on the floor crying, gas, bloated, hurts, got a headache, and she's in pain. And I said, well, that's what you get for not taking your enzymes. So she'll go and take some probiotics, enzymes, wait a half hour, and she doesn't take Tylenol and stuff like that at all. Her headache goes away, her gas and bloating goes away, the pain goes away. And then she'll go and start taking another 3 or 4 enzymes. She'll go out and she'll finish off that half-gallon ice cream that she started with and never have any problems at all. So that's the first thing. That's the fundamental, the most important aspect of anybody's health, regardless of what age you are, regardless of what genetics you have, regardless of what diet you consume, raw or steamed, organic or not. You've got to have the ability to digest it, and digestion is done with enzymes, not minerals, not nutrients, not anything else. It's done with enzymes. Now here's where nutrition is important, because what activates enzymes to carry out their digestion role? Nutrients, amino acids, minerals, vitamins, things of that nature, proteins, fats, anything that would be regarded as a nutrient activates enzymes, giving them the ability to function and do what they're able to do. The human body has upwards of well over 20,000 different enzymes. Over 17,000 have been identified so far. That's the last time I checked a couple years ago. But I know there's 20, 25,000 plus, and we're always evolving as a species. We don't even look anything like the old caveman days of several million years ago. And there's a reason for that. And so our body is constantly evolving and adapting to our environment and to our diet. And especially the diet, that's one of the biggest things we have to adapt to. Otherwise, our diet kills us. Our diet creates the disease and illness in us. So that's the first thing. Always know that you have to have good nutrition. I'm not saying that organic diet is not better than a non-organic diet. It is. But in both cases, non-organic or organic can kill you if you don't produce enough enzymes to properly digest it and process it and eliminate it from your body. It will. That's just a fact. So that's what I wanted to do, is go back to the very basics. And there's a program that we developed real early on with Enriching Gifts. It's called the Fundamental 5 Products to Optimum Health. And they are called the Necessity 5. It's not just optimum health or the fundamental 5, they are the essential 5. And first and foremost, you start with digestive enzymes. Then you have to have an adequate immune system to protect your body. And that's what everybody's talking about right now. How do we strengthen the immune system? How do we do this? How do we do that? Protect ourselves. Well, how you strengthen an immune system, one, is you expose yourself. And that sounds pretty risky given what you see on TV, and for some people it is. The elderly or the very young that haven't developed a strong immune system. You could die from it. Taking a flu shot where they're trying to herd everybody. It was just watching Trump, just watching their update today, and now they're talking about everybody should go out and get the flu shot right now so that they're protected from the influenza this fall. This is what this is all about. Bill Gates, George Soros, Hillary Clinton, the elites of the world that want to see everybody have a vaccination before you can leave your front door and interact with society. That's what this is all about. But the first thing is you have to have enzymes, you have to have digestion, then you have to have protection from that element of deterioration from your environment, from the bacteria, from the viruses. And that's all about building a strong immune system. And there's nothing that will build a bigger, stronger, healthier immune system than glucosides from sprouts. And so we have the product that supports that. It takes about 6 to 9 months to enlarge your immune system cells to where they're 5, 6 times larger. But you have a clean bloodstream because you're using enzymes. Now you got an enlarged immune system with up to 759% more efficiency of functioning within 9 months. And then you have to have a good, healthy GI tract tissue where your nutrients and your immune system, once all of that's in place, where your body can absorb the nutrients that are properly and completely digested. So you have to have healthy GI tract tissue, especially in the smaller intestine where the majority of food is absorbed in the bloodstream. So you have to have the probiotics because there's a whole bunch of bacteria that we come in contact with that actually destroy our natural probiotic flora, our good bacteria that keeps the bad bacteria out of our body or in check. And all these food additives, chemical coloring, steroids, things like that, antibiotics that are given to our food source, all that destroys and deteriorates human probiotic flora that's naturally in your GI tract. So most people are severely depleted in probiotics. And there's a reason why people have gotten these great results since this probiotic thing became the phenomenon. It is the most sold, #1 top selling product worldwide today, probiotics. It's the craze of the nutritional industry. So, and that is a very important aspect. And you always want to have good, healthy, strong strains that are able to survive the acid stomach. Most probiotic strains are weak. They see all these strains on the bottle, looks good for packaging, but most of it doesn't even make it through the GI tract, especially the acid stomach. So they really don't do you any good unless they get back in the GI tract in a living, capable state. And so that's the third one. The fourth one is aloe Ace Max. And aloe, the polysaccharides, the active ingredient in all aloe products, that long polysaccharide or that long sugar chain gives your body the ability to reproduce cellularly 2.7 times faster than it normally would on its own. So that is heaven sent for a cancer patient. You've got the ability to reproduce cells of the human body almost as fast as cancer reproduces itself, which is why it's such a detrimental, deteriorating, deadly disease. Because most people can't, once they got it and they're diagnosed with it, it's so far advanced and multiplying so fast, your body doesn't have the ability to cellular reproduce to catch up with it. So, and again, I didn't say that the aloe Ace Max is going to cure, prevent, or treat cancer. What it does, it gives your body's immune system the ability to reproduce itself faster. And then you have those faster T lymphocytes, which eat up cancer in a nice pristine bloodstream because you're taking enzymes, everything's fully digested. You don't have any sticky, incompletely digested proteins clogging up all of your red blood cells and clumping them together, called erythrocyte aggregation, and lowering your oxygenation and overall pH of your body. This is how simple all this stuff is. And I know I'm going fast, and I'm trying not to. Take a deep breath, slow down. But it is so important, and yet it's so simple. And I just want everybody to look into this at the very least, because all of this other stuff that you're doing, if you don't have digestive enzymes, you are not going to be successful no matter what product you put in your mouth. Because I don't care whether it's a supplement, whether it's a drink, if it's any nutrition to it, it has to be chelated with amino acid in order to be absorbed properly through the GI tract and into the bloodstream. And here we're going to come back to the ability to digest small enough to where the body can properly chelate those amino acids in the GI tract to get it into the bloodstream. And then make sure that it's small enough that once it enters the bloodstream, that it's actually cellularly metabolizable or usable. The last thing we want is a whole bunch of nutrients in the bloodstream that found a way to get in there, but they're so doggone large they can't even begin to be metabolized or interact with cellular functioning or enzymatic activation. That's called toxicity at its worst. And most people's diets do exactly that to them. Even their supplements do that to them. And that's what I was explaining to that gal this morning. And the last thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to come back full circle. So you got enzymes for digestion, sterols for immunity. You've got the probiotics for a really strong, good, healthy tissue in the GI tract for absorbing nutrients. You got the aloe Ace Max. And then the last one that you're going to come back to, and I always leave this as an option to everybody. You can either use the Metabolic Complete, you can use the Heart Algae, which is our highest antioxidant single product. The Metabolic Complete is the broadest base as far as interaction through all of the human body, not just everything but the brain and the blood-brain barrier. Or you can choose the multivitamin, which now we're getting back to high-quality nutrients. They already have the enzymes, the ability to digest and assimilate themselves, and you have every single thing that the human body needs in that vitamin. I could literally live off of my vitamin. It's just a single source. It's got the enzymes for digestion. It's got different nutrients. It doesn't have much for glucosides because it doesn't have any sprouts in it, but it's got nutrients that'll help support and bolster your immune system. It's got probiotic bacteria in it, very, very small amounts, nothing like our probiotic bacteria with FOS product. But if I had to, there's enough nutrition. Like I said, I got everything, including the kitchen sink, the backyard, and most other people's yard included in that thing. And for that reason, some people actually have a hard time tolerating it because it has so much stuff in it. So, but I'd rather have too much and support 95% of the world's population, that other 5% that just can't tolerate it because it's got so much stuff or it's got ingredients that they're allergic to. Well, then use the other 4 and you'll still be way better off than with whether you can use it or not. But those are the fundamental 5 to optimum health. And so, like I said, you get a choice between the multivitamin, the Metabolic Complete, and the Heart Algae. And really what you're looking for is the real high antioxidant value. And all three of those products have very, very high antioxidants, slow down the oxidation or hardening process, like uric acid that causes a buildup in the joints, especially in your feet and toes, causing the disease gout, gouty arthritis, and inflammatory joint disease. Uric acid is a natural byproduct of protein digestion. Everybody on this planet produces it every single time they eat a protein meal, whether it's vegetarian based or whether it's meat based. It doesn't matter. The leftover byproduct when the body goes through that process of breaking down protein is called uric acid purine. We just call it uric acid for short. And so if that's left in the body too long, now why would it be in the body too long? Because your body didn't have the ability to produce enough enzymes to digest and break that food source down within an 8 to 10 hour time frame. Because you can literally start to see it hardening and turning to toward a kind of a greenish color. And then within 12 hours, it's literally reflecting light. It looks like a diamond in the blood, only it's green. And that's a telltale sign that it's uric acid, because when your body produces it, if you've ever seen it in a color microscope, it's a slimy green substance. I don't know how many people ever watched TV or that big guy running across the street in New York with that big beaker and it was all filled with sloshy green solution. It's an advertisement for a product called Uloric. And there's a reason why that solution is green rather than purple, red, pink, or yellow, because that's the actual color that uric acid is when it's produced as a byproduct. So it's easily able to identify the different crystals in the blood because of its greenish gold tint as well. And there's a crystal, you see that little brown and yellow off to the right there. That's kind of what uric acid looks like, that orangish, reddish kind of color in the middle. That's more of a over-the-counter residue like Tylenol or Bayer aspirin or ibuprofen or something like that. So, but I just wanted to get back to the basics because it just, like I said, it's just driving me absolutely nuts watching TV and stuff, the way it just portrays this gloom and doom. Oh, we're all doomed unless you get this vaccination. It's just simply not true. And you know, while we're on the topic of vaccinations, I for one would never take a vaccination into my body, never. They'd have to literally kill me before I'd let them put that syringe in my arm or anywhere else they want to try to poke me. Because the #1 virologist, worldwide virologist from Germany about 2 years ago, he's on CNN News, was Sanjay Gupta. And they asked him all about vaccinations. How safe are they? And he said, they're not. They're made in third world countries. Well, guess what? Right now, you're seeing some of the evidence about what's going on in the world with vaccinations. China, Pakistan, Afghanistan. Really, these are all developed countries? Last time I was over there, I sure couldn't see that. They all had machine guns, but they were nowhere near Syria. They were nowhere near developed countries. And yet that's where most of our stuff is outsourced to. And China, look at the controls they have. Well, let me reword that. Look at China. Look at the controls they don't have. They have very, very poor controls. And there's a major company that produces a lot of medical vaccinations that get distributed through the world. And so you're just seeing this play itself out right now on national TV. Really? These are the things that you want to trust in? I don't. And even that virologist said he wouldn't vaccinate himself. He wouldn't vaccinate his kids. He said there's no description on what's inside that syringe. And until they're forced to disclose, they couldn't sell a vaccine. They couldn't give a vaccine away because there's so much toxic stuff inside of those syringes as stabilizers and well, just call them stabilizers. Makes them last a long, long time, and makes them inert. So that's coming from the top virologist in the world. That was less than 2 years ago. So like I said, you know, this whole thing about autism, there's a lot to that. He didn't want to get into it. He really tried to go there, but they wouldn't let him go there. So he just kind of was at the mercy of the CNN newscaster, the interviewer. But it was a fascinating interview. It lasted a whole half hour. So I don't think they got out of that what they were hoping to get out of that, because what came out of that was, man, unless you're literally on your deathbed and there's no other choice, you're going to die anyway. Well, let's just go ahead and do it and see if it'll work for you. Because here's another fact. If you know where to look, and you got to look deep to find this stuff, folks. But I've done it. I've been a part of it for 30 years. I'm not a medical doctor. I have nothing to do with medicine whatsoever, but I am a research scientist. I studied medicine at Arizona State University Medical Campus, which has a public medical library, and I studied there for 10 years, 6 days a week, 8 to 10 hours a day. when I used to live down in Scottsdale. That's what I did with my free time while I was working at nighttime. And the only exception to that was when my daughter came to visit, and then I'd spend time with her. But yeah, so I'm very medically educated, but I don't want any degrees. I don't care about having a PhD because I don't want to fall under the guidelines and regulations of the FDA, the AMA, or anybody else that's issued a license by those institutions. You will fall under their jurisdiction, and thereby they have the authority to regulate you and whatever you do within that licensing. So that's why I don't have that kind of stuff. And I would never use that side of medicine in my life anyway. I'm totally against drugs. Drugs inhibit the body's ability to function at a natural cellular functioning level. So how is your body going to fix itself? How your body's going to function balanced when it's being inhibited from functioning by the drugs you're ingesting? And granted, you know, like opioids, yeah, they're going to block your pain, but they're very addictive, and then they'll cause suicide, mental deterioration, on and on and on and on. They got tremendous side effects. All drugs have at least 5 or more negative side effects to the human functioning body. All drugs, even the over-the-counter Tylenol and ibuprofen and Bayer aspirin, all of those have negative side effects to the liver, to your kidneys, and I can go on and on and on, but I don't need to. Most people on this call already are aware of that. So again, I just wanted to get back to the basics, and I want to get back to having this as a resource where you can invite your friends and your family members or anybody that you run into has disease and illness. I want to always keep this a platform where we can actually discuss disease issues, where we can help people find the answers through education and understanding, which will always lead to better decision making. When you don't know the first thing about cancer and all of a sudden you're diagnosed with 3rd or 4th stage cancer, man, you're crapping your pants, you're scared crapless. You don't know what to do except for turn to the doctor and listen to whatever he tells you he's going to do. And allopathic medicine today is profit driven. If there's not a bigger example of it than's going on right now with all this funding for these small businesses, then boy, somebody just doesn't have their eyes even slightly cracked open. Because that's what this is all about. I had a talk with Steve Daines, the senator from Montana, and his secretary or one of his office staff in Washington, D.C., Nick, personally talked to him. And I said, you know, the way you guys are doing this stuff with allocation, all of these funds, all you're doing as politicians and all of your cronies with their earmarks and their pet projects, you're just raping the American people and using this coronavirus as the excuse to do it. Because over 50 to 70% of the money isn't even getting to small businesses. I'm one of them. I haven't seen a paycheck. I haven't seen a PPE check. I haven't seen any stimulus money, not one single penny, me or my wife. And that's what this money was all supposed to be for, small businesses, people that make less than $150,000 a year. Yet you see it on national TV, it's going to all these big corporations and stuff. So this is what this is all about. It's not about coronavirus. Coronavirus is just the excuse to rape the American public and increase our debt by almost double what it was previously in just a matter of months. And they're still talking about a 4th and a 5th one. And it's just crazy. And like I told them, I says, you know, this makes no sense at all. Why should anybody have to go through the Small Business Administration to get a check? The IRS already has all the information about employees and how much an employee makes a year. They already have all the information about how many employees you have as a corporation because you can see your payroll deduction every year. They already have all of this. And you could totally avoid Congress from attaching earmarks or anything else to it if you just turn it over to the IRS and let them issue the checks or the credits at the end of the year. And he said, he specifically, he says, who are you? And I said, well, I'm just a Montana citizen, but I'm no dummy. I actually have a genius IQ. He said, man, this is a great idea. I'll have to think about this and see where we can get this to go. Yeah, it's a great idea, but they're not going to do anything with it because it takes away their power, takes away their ability to rob the coffers. That's why they're not going to do a single thing about it. Guarantee it'll still be more of the small business and the Harvard University is going to get their 50 million or whatever they got, and that museum that Nancy Pelosi got 25 million for, of Kennedy, the Kennedy Center. It's just ridiculous. They're just robbing us blind. So I don't want to get into the political side of that. I want to come back to this. And like I said, I want to leave all this gloom and doom crap behind us They're just making it so hard to live a normal day. And there's no excuse that anybody will put before me that will justify what myself and any one of you and anybody else in this entire United States has to go through. Because I can point to at least 5, and I'm pretty sure it's 6 years, where there's over 60,000 deaths every single year for the past decade, just from influenza alone. And that's not to mention, where's all the outrage with the amount of people that are dying from cancer? Where's all the outrage that are people dying from heart attacks and strokes? Where's all the money pouring into the coffers for all the people in all the hospitals that have to take on those loads on a regular basis? Where's all that at? Nothing. Nothing. There still isn't anything about it. This is just all about taking away our rights and using the coronavirus as the excuse. So I'm going to turn it back over to you, Dover, and open it up for questions. And yep, now you're starting to see me get comfortable in front of the camera. You're starting to see that passion come out. So to Dan,
I love it. Don't change a thing. It's what we call emotion or energy in motion. So I love your passion. Thank you, brother. If anyone has a question, please unmute yourself. Come on out, ask a question. Sanj, beautiful to see you again, brother. But everyone, welcome to the call. And if you have a question, please come on out and ask your question or give your comment. And if you're speaking, we cannot hear you. You're on mute. So I would encourage you to unmute yourself and then come on out. Looks like James might be.
Can you go through the products one more time?
Yeah, like I said, the most critical component of anybody's life and health is digestion. So you have to start with a really good, and I say plant-based enzyme. Pancreatic enzyme is what Wobenzym is. One of the most popular enzyme products in the world for well over 50, 60 years. I remember that product was out and available in the late 60s, early 70s when I was a teenager. And they used it to treat cancer. Well, that's the wrong way to describe that product. One, that product has no ability to influence cancer whatsoever. It's just the digestive enzyme. So what it does do, though, it actually digests your foods more completely because it is a pancreatic enzyme. And so that, therefore, you're eliminating or significantly reducing the amount of immune complex proteins that enter the bloodstream that are as a result of a poorly digested protein, meat, flesh diet. That is what clogs and shrinks down and really dramatically suppresses your T lymphocytes' ability to function. And it'll slow down the human T lymphocyte by as much as 1,325% less active. That's byproducts from poorly digested diet, especially muscle tissue in your daily diet. And the only reason it's poorly digested is because of lack of enzymes, either because of age or genetics. So the first thing is we're going to go back to digestive enzymes. Then you have the Steromax, which have a unique nutrient called the glucoside, which is a pre-sugar nutrient. And that glucoside has been shown to activate 6 different enzymes within human T lymphocyte. That's your cancer destroying cells, or your age destroying cells, or your corona infected cells. That cell, that immune system cell, will literally dissolve the human cell and everything that's inside of it, good or bad. So strengthen your immune system. That's the Steromax. And then you have the probiotics with FOS. You have to have a good, healthy tissue and not a lot of anaerobic or parasitic bacteria in the GI tract in order to have healthy tissue. So the probiotics in our formula, there's 9 different strains. They survive all the acid. They are very, very highly active throughout all pH ranges of the GI tract. So we have some that are acidic active, we have some that are alkaline active, we have some that are neutral, 7.0 pH active, and they're very high activities. And these will actually grow inside the human body. No other probiotic will actually multiply and grow inside the human body. That's why everybody starts out with 10 billion, 20 billion, 50 billion. That's why they start out with manufacturing these real ridiculously high billions of cultures, because just the manufacturing alone can destroy 40 to 90% of the probiotic bacteria just going through the manufacturing process, whether it's tableting or whether it's encapsulation or whether it's powders. We can destroy as much as 90% just with the heat going through the manufacturing process. So you have something with, let's say, the real high end, 50 billion, where you destroy 90% of that. So what are you left over with? About 5 billion. And now we're going to go ahead and put it into the human body. And the strains that are in there, about 40 to 60% of those aren't even going to survive the acid stomach. So now you go from 5 billion down to what, a couple 100 million? And that's what you end up with. And so you need a really good, well-rounded, put-together formulated probiotic formula. And you need the same thing with the enzymes. Enzymes don't work by themselves. And that's a fatal flaw in the entire industry of the dietary supplement industry. They have no minerals to activate the enzymes that are actually in that capsule and formula. Enzymes have to be activated. And what did I say activates them? Some kind of nutrient. A mineral is a nutrient because it activates an enzyme, zinc. And here's another one for everybody. Do you know that every single year for influenza, you can look at all of the products that now have extra zinc, added zinc with zinc. And you only see it from September on until probably about March or early April, and then you don't see them anymore. Zinc is the mineral that interacts with the enzymes that regulates how fast all immune system cells activity occurs. Zinc. It's a main mineral that benefits the human immune system tremendously. So, and that's in our multivitamin. So getting back to that, so you have zinc, the Steromax, the probiotics, and then let's hop to the other end. Give your body the ability to produce cellularly new healthy cells to replace old or deteriorating cells. The body can't do that on its own. And the uniqueness of polysaccharides in the aloe plants are some very unique nutrients that actually have the ability, and their poly means many, many, very long, extra long. And our company is the only one in the entire world that has extra long branched chain polysaccharides. And I can compare that to Forever Living, Aloe Commodities, Zango, Carrington Laboratories, and Manatech. None of those companies even comes close to the length of our polysaccharides. And why is the length important? And by the way, when it says Dalton weight measurement standards, that's not weight in ounces, that's the length of the polysaccharide. And that's the only accepted measuring standard for all good quality aloe vera products in the world. And that was established by the International Aloe and Science Council out of Texas. So, and we're all having them, all our products are analyzed at the same place too. So that's another thing. But these polysaccharides, the extra long branch chain polysaccharides, and I don't want to give away too many secrets on why we're able to have it and nobody else does, but we actually have an enzyme inhibitor. That enzyme, when the leaf is cut, that's why everybody has to have their product manufactured and stabilized within 8 hours, because if you don't, within 10 hours, all those polysaccharides are all eaten up by an enzyme within that plant source. And so we have a way to block that enzyme before that leaf is ever even taken. So we can literally harvest the leaf, lay it on the table, sit there for a month and go back a month later, and we have the same polysaccharide content. So that's why our products are very technologically advanced and different than most everybody else's. And I mean, it's very, very advanced. Our hard algae is grown in photoreactor biodomes, a completely 100% enclosed environment. No other algae source, especially red algae anywhere in the United States or in the world, is grown in an indoor completely controlled environment. They're all grown in the ocean or open water ponds, hydroponics. There's all kinds of pollution and oxidation and various things that get into those things. And so and then the fiber wall develops, and that's another big advantage we have with our technology of the photoreactive biodomes that nobody else has, because our fiber wall never does get developed, because we can just heat up the water and the glass turns black, shielding the sunlight from developing the fiber wall. So we don't have to go through the breaking down and the extraction and all the sterilization and all the processing all these other companies do. It's never developed, so therefore we don't have to go through the processing of sterilizing and removing. And because it's in a 100% enclosed environment, they're growing big, huge, 5 foot tall, big old round domes, and they're about a foot off the ground with these little bases, and then you have hoses, one on each side. So there's 2 going in on the left and right side, and 1 going in on the north and south side. And you just connect all these biodomes in this big, huge acreage over in Hawaii. And that's where our products are grown. And I brought that technology to Maui, Hawaii from Tokyo, Japan, from the parent company. I did, Ron Schneider. So everything that you see out in the world market, especially in the United States market anyway, that's got some kind of red astaxanthin algae, I brought that whole industry to the United States. I brought the sterols with the glucosides to the United States from South Africa, where they were being used as a very unique but yet halfway affordable means of treating HIV and AIDS patients. And when I added the enzymes, which cleaned up the bloodstream, wow, it was magic. The whole formula of AIDS just totally changed in a matter of 2 to 3 months. So, and then I'm going to go back and here comes the last one. So we got the polysaccharides that'll increase the cellular reproductive rate of the human cell. But then you go and you got a choice. And like I said, the choice, what I'm trying to get across here is an antioxidant value choice. Because if you have a good diet, you shouldn't need a vitamin. A vitamin is a supplement. Supplement means in addition to something. So if you have a pretty good, clean, decent diet, you shouldn't have to rely that heavily on a multivitamin. But because the multivitamin does have coenzyme Q10, pycnogenol, which is white pine bark extract from the maritime pine tree, it's got standardized OPC 95% plus. It's not just got OPC or a 80 or 85 or just a simple OPC extract, which God knows what's in that, because there's no analysis, so you have no idea what's in it. I use only the highest and very best quality products and the most advanced technologies to produce all this stuff with. But those are the fundamental 5. So you get your choice from the hard algae, the metabolic complete, or the vitamin for your antioxidants. And antioxidants are critically, critically important. Like I said, that Dr. Sapphire, she screwed up when she started talking about hormones being released by muscles now that they're being active, and it's called cellular superoxide dismutase. Well, anything that ends in ASE is an enzyme. Anything that ends in IN, pepsin, trypsin, chymotrypsin, chemopepsin, cathepsin, those are all enzymes too that were actually identified pre-1968. Anything that ends in INE is an amino acid. So you can just look at the end of the words and stuff, both in medicine and in supplements. And if you understand how to identify the last 3 or 4 letters of the word, you can pretty much identify what that product actually is, just by looking at the end of the words that are listed as the ingredient components. So did that help you out, James? Did that help you out?
Yeah, it did. Look, the question I wanted to ask you, essential fatty acids, what role do they play in the body, and how important is it do we need to supplement, or can we rely on our food source?
Essential fatty acids are a lot like amino acids. They're terribly critically important. They really are. Yeah. Fatty acids are basically, like it says, they come from fat sources, where amino acids come from protein sources. That's really the only difference between the two, but they're both critically important at creating tissue. All tissue in the human body is created from amino acids, whether they're essential fatty acids or whether they're amino acids. All tissues are made from amino acids. And essential fatty acids are just acids or amino acids from a fat-based source. That's basically the difference between the two.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions, comments? Anybody?
Hey, Ron, so I just want to recap.
Yeah, we only got about 4 or 5 minutes left.
The fundamental 5. So the fundamental 5 that you spoke of, and the individual that asked the question. So we have the enzymes is 1. We have the sterol max is 2. Probiotics is 3. You've got
aloe vera 4.
Aloe. And then you have it sounded like an interchangeable where, right, you know, it could be complete vitamin if you're supplementing, or it could be the hard algae for the antioxidants. It could be the metabolic complete, or and I don't know that you mentioned this, but it used to be, I'm talking 10, 12 years ago, even detox was in that formula as a possible. So just bring a little clarity there if you don't mind. Yeah, and detox, Dober's right. We used to have enzymes, detox, sterols for your immunity, the multivitamin, and the metabolic complete. But the metabolic complete and vitamins both had antioxidants. I was using the vitamins for the nutrition because we're going to go all the way back to right to the very beginning. We have to have good nutrition that we consume so that when it's digested, it has the ability to activate the body. So we kind of switched it up a little bit because I noticed that a lot of people, this detox formula we have, it'll detoxify the dickens out of you. And a lot of people already have good, healthy bowel movements. So the last thing we wanted to do is have the majority of people taking a product that would help to stimulate detoxification and accelerated bowel movements when we really didn't need to do that. So
You're right, Dover. That used to be the old fundamental 5. Detoxification is important. Everybody should be able to detox daily. And what is detoxing daily? It's where you go in your bathroom and take a crap at least once to twice every single day. That's detoxifying the body. When you eliminate your bowel movement, that is detoxification. So when that's not being done and you don't eliminate and have a bowel movement once every 2-3 days, you're in trouble. Your body is extremely toxic. Then that would be a place where you'd actually start consuming daily detox on a regular basis until you can actually get to that point where you're having 1 or 2 bowel movements every single day. Because any meal consumed should be eliminated within 8 hours. 6 to 8 hours is ideal. If you're eating vegetarian meals and stuff like that, you can usually see those eliminated in 4 to 6 hours if you have really good digestion. So those would be the ones that you would want to consume. But your time frame, no matter what diet, especially when you throw in muscle tissue, it's got to be done within 6 to 10 hours. You cannot stretch it longer than 10 for a single meal. And that means you should be able to see components that you consumed with that meat, steak, chicken, beef, turkey, pork, whatever it was, peppers, tomatoes. You should be able to see stuff like that in your toilet. And the minute I say you should be able to see stuff like that, I'm not talking about the whole food form. If you can see tomato skins and beans and things like that, you're not digesting at all. So that's really poor digestion. You should just see nothing but nice, kind of a sandy colored texture, big, thick, round rope. And it's about 1 foot to 1.5 feet long when you have good elimination. And it should always float. If it sinks, think about this. Why would it sink? Because it already has material in it that's not fully assimilated by the body. The nutrients never got assimilated. They're in the stool, so it sinks. Because really what you should be eliminating is fiber. Your body should be using the rest of the nutrients for the cellular functioning process. So if your stool sinks, you're not getting great digestion. And usually with a sinky stool, you'll see a real dark color brown, almost like a black color. It won't be a light sandy kind of a camelish color. Or a light kind of, I call it a bronzy orange, sandy color. But those are just simple ways you can tell really how good your internal health is going on if you learn a lot of this stuff. And I read Dr. Edward Howell's book, Bernard Jensen. I actually took a training from Bernard Jensen on the dark field microscope, one of the last ones before he passed away. He passed away about 4 or 5 months after that last training out of Dallas. He wrote a whole bunch of very graphic. They got pictures, and you'd never believe that this stuff could actually be inside the human body, but it is. 7-day cleanse, a lot of different cleansing booklets and things like that. So.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we are at the top of the hour, and unless anyone else has a final comment, we're going to wrap up the call this evening. Appreciate everybody joining us. We will be making this call available if you'd like to listen to it again, or if there's others that you want to share this with. So we'll get that put up on the website at enriching.gifts.com. So make sure you're checking that because we try to stay up to date with that as well. And lots of changes will be coming to that website that we don't have time to get into right now. But again, Ron, we really appreciate the message. I learn something every time, and I don't even want to bring it up because I know I'll get you started off on that path. And you're right. We've seen you on camera. You're emotional. Your screen was actually shaking because obviously you're hitting the table or desk or whatever, and so it's just really cool. So and Sanjay's laughing because he knows how passionate you are. So thank you again for all that you bring to all of us each and every week, because you know what, it really is about us taking back control of our own health. And this is a great place to be with this product and how amazing it is. So with that, I'll turn it back to you for the final words. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to let everybody know, take back control of your own life. Don't leave it in the hands of a doctor or someone else. They are never going to care about you and your body and your health the way you will. That's just the bottom line. So I just want to remind everybody that take back your own health, get educated, understand your body. Start doing the right things, and don't ever live in fear and make decisions out of ignorance and fear, because they're usually going to have a pretty bad outcome, not a positive one. So that's my message for today, and I appreciate you all. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you, Ron.
Talk to you next week.
Thank you, everyone. All right. We'll see everyone on the leadership call. Thank you.